Hey guys, my name is Matej Matic. I'm the founder of Dominate Marketing, where we do performance-based Google Ads and SEO for law firms. In this video, I'm going to show you how to write law firm SEO content that both ranks and converts visitors into paying clients. I'll walk you through my process for doing the keyword research, selecting what needs to be included on the page, and then writing that content out, and how you can do it to put it on your site, and I'll show you what you need to include and everything like that. Basically my process of doing it so that you can do something similar, convert more people into matters, rank on Google, etc. Now, to do this correctly, you're going to need three tools. At least these are the three tools that I use to do this. You're going to need SEMrush, which is a keyword research tool, which is going to tell you what keywords you need to target in the first place for whatever practice areas you're trying to rank for. The second one is Surfer SEO. This one will show you what keywords and content you need to include on this particular content so that you actually have a chance of ranking against your competitors. Basically, it compares all the competitors' content that are on page one and then tells you what you need to include based on that, and it does work quite well. And the third one is Claude, which is excellent for AI content. It's excellent for creating the base of what you're going to write. And quite frankly, if you prompt it well enough, you can basically just write the content with Claude and then some minor edits, maybe just to make sure it's worded correctly, and then use it. It's actually getting very good now. So I would recommend using Claude for writing content. I'll show you some examples of that here when we spit out the content for this video. So once you got these tools, and what I'll do is I'll put my affiliate links in the description below for SEMrush and Surfer so that you can get these if you want to get them. If not, you can just go to their websites and grab them. Right, so now we're going to use, first thing is SEMrush, which is going to be the keyword research. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that it's a family law attorney in Dallas, and we're making the page for the family law, like top level family lawyer or family attorney page. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in family law attorney Dallas, and I want to establish what the top level keyword is, because this is going to be important for what we're doing. So let's go with the keyword overview. We can see that it gives us the difficulty, the volume, etc. Now, typically speaking, you want to go with whatever's the keyword with the highest volume. That's usually the top level one. So you can see here, Dallas, Texas family law attorney gets the highest volume, so that's probably the main keyword. I mean, realistically, there's probably not going to be a huge difference between family law attorney, Dallas, Texas. I mean, you're going to have to write the same content for them, so it doesn't matter. But pull out the top level one just to be certain. So I'm going to pull that out here. I'm going to add it to a notepad. I'm just going to paste it in here because we'll pull a couple of the top level ones out for this. Now, along with this location like this, what you're going to find is you want to pull the keyword variation without the location in it, because if we search family law attorney near me, the stats are not going to be as accurate, but I can tell you from experience that that particular keyword is also going to be highly searched. And then potentially something like, let's try family lawyer Dallas as well. You want to get all the very top variations you want. So family lawyer Dallas is actually the main keyword here. You can see based on volume. So we'll pull that guy out and we'll put that here as well. And let's see if we include Texas by any chance. No, not necessarily. Okay, so basically you want to pull out the top 3 or 4 which you want to target, and you want to copy those. And that's what SEMrush is good for, because it's going to tell you exactly what you should be targeting. We may come back later for some of these variations, but Surfer's probably going to take care of the rest of this. But basically, we will take this and we'll go to Surfer and we'll open a new bit in the content editor. So we'll go to new content, and you want to paste the keywords in here like that. Make sure you got all of them. 3. Yeah, okay, I got them. And what you want to do is select the location. So we'll go Dallas. And now we'll go create. And what this is going to do is it's going to now analyze the competitors in the search results on Google and figure out what content we need to have on this page to actually stand a chance at ranking. So what we'll do is we'll let that run, and then once that's done, we will proceed. So now it's done the analysis and we can open it up, and you can see now it's giving us a few things. So the first thing you want to do once you go in here is go up here to this gear icon, customize. You want to open this. Now what we want to do first thing is establish who are our competitors that we actually want to compare our content to. So the few things that you want to do is eliminate anyone who's not the same type of website as you are. So for example, Super Lawyers, that is a directory, not a competitor law firm. And so I'm going to remove that because I don't want to compete against them. I do want to compete against these guys because they're a law firm. So are these guys. Basically, all of these guys are law firms. Justia is not, so we'll close that one. I think this one is. And basically, the reason I'm doing this is because it's not really an accurate analysis if it's comparing the word content and number or word count, etc. on a directory when you're not a directory. And Google does know the difference. So I would exclude them to try and get as accurate comparison as possible. Now we can see here that a couple of these competitors are doing very well. This one in particular has got a score of 82, which basically means we're going to have to top that, and we'll go into that in a second. So once you've selected these, I would only worry about the top 10 really. Hit let's go. That will potentially reevaluate some of this. And now you can see we've got all of these keywords that we need to include in this content here. This is what Surfer believes Google wants to see in order to actually potentially show your website on page 1, or at least this page. So we need to include as many of these as possible, specifically the ones at the top. And it also gives us the count here. I don't think that that's as important as at least including them in my experience. So that's just a note there. That's been my experience. It also tells you which ones you should include in your headings as well, and what word count you should be aiming for on average. And then the last thing is that it gives you an overall score. Now, my thing here is that I always want to have a score at least equivalent to the top one, if not higher than the top one. Sometimes this gets a bit tricky. 82 is quite high. Anything above 80 is actually quite high, and it's usually only in competitive markets that you see this kind of thing, which in this case it is. As you can see here, keyword difficulty of 55 is quite high, so I'm not surprised to see that. But usually it's like 70 something or below. In that case, just try and get it at least up to 75 so it's in the green. And if you're above all the competitors at that point, you're fine. In this case, we need to go a bit higher. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these keywords and I'm going to go to Claude. Now, with Claude, I suggest you create a specific prompt to get it to spit out the content that in the format you want it. I've already done that, and I have a project set up with my specific prompt and instructions on how I want it to write this content. So it's going to largely do what I want right when I just give it the keywords and the topic. However, you would need to do this as well. So what I've structured mine to do is I can just input the topic. So topic will be family lawyer in Dallas, Texas. I will go with word count. I always include that as well. And I will go 2,000 words. And then I will go Surfer SEO keywords to include. And it, based on my SOP instructions, it knows to look for these. So that's how I've done it. And now I can paste this. I also need to include location. That's the other one. Location. So we'll go Dallas, Texas. But it will probably get that from my topic anyway. And now we will go hit it, and I'm going to let it write. So now you'll see it spit it out in the format I've requested it to do it with my SOP. And this will make sure that it includes all of these topics in there, but it's also going to write it in the manner that I've asked it to write it in my instructions. And so that's a large part of it. But basically, I'll walk you through what's important once it spits out the content. All right, and you can see now it's spat out the content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all this. I'm going to paste it into Surfer, and then we will go from there. So put that in here, and you can see here, it's already done 59 score. Now, sometimes it actually does higher than that, but in this case it didn't. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna optimize this content, but before I do that, I'm gonna walk you through what is important with this content and how I've instructed it to do it. So the first thing I recommend you do is make sure that each sentence starts on a new line like this. That's just for readability's sake when you add it onto the website to make it easy to read, especially on mobile. You don't want to have large blocks of text anywhere because nobody likes to read those. Now, you can see here, I'm just going to split that up. So now the first thing that we have is like an intro piece of text which explains the whole topic of family law in general and the pain points they're likely to encounter when they're dealing with a family law issue. And so the reason why that is, we're trying to get them with a bit of sense of urgency and remind them why they need a good lawyer to help them with these issues. Just bring up the pain points and agitate them a little bit. It's a bit of a copywriting technique to do that, but that's why I do that. And I like to do that at the beginning because it gets them to, just reminds people about why they need to take this seriously, because people are interesting. They forget when they're browsing and all kinds of, they're very distracted. So you just need to remind them, get them to be a little bit more urgent about it so they're more likely to contact you. Then the second thing I like to include is specifically what services within this practice area you offer, and try and go into not as much depth, but include as many as you can, because what's going to happen is some of the people who search for a family lawyer will, for example, need a child custody representation or a property division, things like that. And so what you want to do is make sure that you include them on this page so that they know that you actually offer this service. Now, I know that sounds like, yeah, they should know, but people do, people don't, So if you can include it here, it's just going to remind them that you do. And so it's giving them another reason to contact you. So you want to include as many of them as possible. I prompted it to give a short description on each one of these. I would also recommend that you probably include the ones that are most sought after should be up the top here, and then bring that down like that and go from there. So obviously you'd rearrange that and write it in a way that would make sense for your specific case. Then you can have some additional content here if it makes sense to do so. I like to also include something about the actual firm and the attorneys working there, potentially the principal, or if it's a solo firm or a small team, have them there with like some kind of quote or explanation of what they do specifically that's slightly different. Basically trying to sell them on working with that specific firm. And then you would have the FAQs. Now, FAQs are good for inserting some of these topics and questions that are here that you may not have included in the content already or had no space to actually include. They also help because what's going to happen is a lot of the time with the AI overview, it will pull some of this content from the FAQ and actually use it in the AI overviews. And so you'll rank number one by doing that. So I like to include a lot of these FAQs as an ability to include more topics and keywords here that I couldn't naturally fit in this section here where it would make sense to do so. Now that you understand the general outline of the content that I'm writing here, this is now in this way is written mostly for copywriting and conversion purposes, but this is also going to rank because it's including a lot of these keywords and it's on topic. Now, here's a few things I recommend you do from here. You see how we have a couple of very obvious keywords that should be included, and for some reason it didn't. So I'm going to go and try and insert these into here. So for example, how we can help you. This is a bit of a boring title. I'm going to change this to how our Texas family law attorneys can help you. And so now that's going to bump the score up quite a bit. It'll include this keyword variation in one of the headlines, which is a major point for SEO. And not only that, but it also reminds them that we are Texas family law attorneys. So that's going to help. And now we can also, we've got family lawyer Dallas. We do have family lawyer in Dallas. I mean, you could do this and it does bump the score up. Truthfully, I'm not sure how much of a real effect on SEO removing the word in would have in this case, but you can do it if you want to just make sure that the score is higher for now. Now, what I also like to do is have some kind of sub-headline, and that's not for SEO's sake, but for conversion's sake. To have some kind of sub-headline to sell people on it, like whether it's above or below the H1, it can be either way, but it would be something like, let's say something like facing a family law matter, speak to experienced Dallas family law attorneys, or something along those lines, which just, it adds a little bit of character and flavor to the page. It's not just family lawyer Dallas. You've got a bit of flavor here now, and it's like addressing them, and just, it's a bit more human. And I like to do that there as well. Now, what's interesting is you can actually use Claude to do this. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go, write me a few sub-headline variations to go under the main H1. And let's see what it gives us. Sometimes it gives us some good ideas if nothing else. So for example, compassionate counsel, aggressive representation for your most important legal matters, protecting your family's future, dedicated Texas family law attorneys fighting for your rights and relationship, navigating complex family law challenges. You could do something as well like don't take chances with your family's future, something like that. Which, you see what I mean? Now it's like just a little bit more of an incentive and just reminding them this is serious. And it just adds, like I said, a little bit of character and I guess a bit of flavor to the page. So I like to include something like that there as well. Obviously, you would have to adapt this to your specific use case and whatever you're offering. But that's just to give you an idea. Now I'll go through and see if I can insert any of these particular keywords in here. So for example, we could probably put family law issues, and I'm also going to change this because it likes to use the word navigating, but I'm going to go dealing with. Family law issues can be emotionally draining and complex. Also, family law disputes is not included. So let's just throw that in here somewhere. Let's just go family law disputes there. So we want to make sure we've got that in there as well. So see, now we're at 75 already because Claude did the majority of the work. We just need to finish it off and just make sure it's written how we want it, right? So we've got that one. We've got family law disputes in there. Maybe we can go our law firm helps, navigates. Now, not every single one of these is going to increase the score, but I'm just going to try and include them anyway. Now, if you were certified in family law, you could obviously put that in here. Our board certified family law firm, for example, if you were. Okay, no, so that got it up to 80, you see, by including board certified family law. Is board certified family law, helping clients navigate complex legal challenges with deep understanding of Texas family law and years of proven experience. So for example, that's how you could do that. And now let's see if we can just bump it up a little bit more. So divorce lawyers. Our divorce lawyers. A lot of these are pretty obvious. You can just find a way to put them in there. And I found that this works and it does help. So complex family disputes, helping clients resolve family disputes while protecting what matters most. Let's check the headings here. If I put Dallas in here, so that actually went backwards. So we want to keep that. So this is an area where you can actually use the FAQs to help. So we'll do that in a second. Child custody, you can maybe swap that out. See if that does anything. We'll just put it in the content. We handle all child custody cases, including both initial custody determinations and post-divorce. There we go. Where's complex asset division? Specialize in complex asset division, conducting thorough analysis, specialize. Okay. We could maybe get in proven track record with a proven track record of helping clients. What I will also do is add the CTA headline at the bottom, which is not included here, but I always add it above the form that I put at the bottom of the page. So speak to our Dallas family lawyers today by calling us or filling out the form below to get a free consultation, and that's going to include that in there as well. So we got Dallas family law in there, Dallas family lawyers. Now you can see the score dropped down 1. That's probably due to the word count. I personally don't mind the word count being a bit higher. I prefer it if I'm going to go over, but that's just my personal preference. Let's see, maybe we can put, sometimes you can use this as well to insert a keyword. So for example, FAQs about Texas family law matters, for example. Let's see if there's anything else. So what I found is that inserting new keywords that are not in there already tends to help more than the number count of the ones that are already in. To be honest, I would probably get prompt Claude to make these more Dallas specific. I'm not going to do that for the purpose of this video, but if I was making this page for a client, I would go back and tell it to make the FAQs more specific to Dallas because it's doing Texas, which is fine. But if, for example, we're targeting several Texas locations, let's say Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, whatever, you would want to have each one like more specific to the city. So just keep that in mind. Now with these FAQs, you can obviously add FAQs you know clients ask, and that's obviously helpful. So you want to make sure you have ones in there that you know should be included just based on what people ask you and things like that. But obviously I'm just using it for the purpose of this video, whatever the AI has given me, I'm just using that, just trying to show you how to optimize the content. So we're almost there. I'm just going to see if I can get that score above 82 by putting in some of these additional keywords I'm going to try and get in here. So what you can do to just try this is you can just type it in and just see if it does anything. And it can be an indicator whether it's going to raise the score or not. Not always, but sometimes. It does take into account where the word is too though, so you have to keep that in mind. So none of these are doing a whole lot. I mean, what you can also do sometimes if you're over the word count is just remove some of the FAQs and just see what happens. Okay, so not a whole lot. Okay, so nothing. So see, we're in the right word count, but it didn't move. So it's got nothing to do with that, typically anyway. Representing clients in Dallas court, allowing you to make informed decisions. Practice. Okay. We're at the point now where I've included a vast majority of the keywords here. The score is not budging beyond 79, and I find that sometimes it does that. So I wouldn't, if you're stuck on it too long and it's just not moving and it's only one competitor is just above you like this, then I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about it, because what you'll see is that, for example, Justia ranks higher. Now, there'll be reasons why, domain authority scores and things like that. You can see here they have a lot more authority. They also have a way higher word count too. But the point is that, let's say this 55 ranks above 70. Now, I try and get it above as many times as possible. In some instances, it's just doesn't want to move. And I'm sure I could get it to if I sat here long enough doing it. But what I'm trying to illustrate to you is that it's usually a diminishing return at that point. We're very, very close to the top competitor, which means we're above pretty much everyone else on the page. As you can see here, our score is higher than everyone else's. So in some cases, it's just best to just let it be. But the point is that this page is now fully optimized, both from an SEO perspective and from the copywriting perspective, to convert people into actually clients for the firm, and essentially encourage them to make an inquiry. That's the way I would put it. And so that's the purpose of all this content. It's a balance between getting the keywords in there and actually saying what you need to say to the clients to get them to convert. So this is how I do this, to write the content, obviously with input from the client and whatever their specific case would be. If you have a specific offer, you can offer something particular here, whether it's a free consultation like a lot of firms do, or something even more tangible and ideally more unique. That would be good too. But this is the general process, so you get the idea. And so now, this content, because it ranks so high, obviously it will depend on what website's going on, the domain authority and things like that, but it stands a very good chance at ranking against the competition. So this is the process for doing it. If you have any questions about any of this, put them in the comments below and I will answer them. If you'd like me to help you with your law firm to get more clients on a pure performance basis, go to dominatemarketing.io. You can book a call with me there and I'll see if I can help you out. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. Catch you in the next one.